So we're going to ask you a few questions, quick fire questions to get to know you. First one is, what is your favourite food and who cooks in your household?
Favourite food is probably seafood in general, and my wife definitely cooks. She'd love me to cook a lot more, but she's definitely the cook and a good cook.
What would your secret talent be?
Oh, probably organisation. I tend to end up in roles where the things I've done, have been around organisation, organising people. Yeah, quite enjoy it really.
What was the last thing you binge watched?
Yellowstone.
Summer or winter?
Definitely summer. Yeah, Gisborne summers.
Footy or rugby?
Rugby.
Favourite genre of music?
80s.
How do you spend your spare time?
Spare time? Summertime I play polo.
If you could wave a magic wand over Tairāwhiti, what would be the one thing you would change?
If I could, a magic wand, the one thing I could change, I would change the way this government is approaching land use in our area. That's probably my biggest bugbear. We seem to be making decisions in Wellington that are going to affect generations to come here in Gisborne, and this carbon credit thing to me is a total cover-up. There's got to be better ways to do it. I think blanket planting pine trees, look, it's just very, very short thinking, and we're going to face the consequences down the track.
Why are you running for council?
With the change of the ward system in Gisborne, and I'm very passionate about rural communities, and I was scared that the rural communities and farming and businesses, when I talk rural community, what happens out in these flats wasn't going to be heard enough, so that's the main reason I'm doing it.
What characteristics do you have that will help council?
I think I've got a pretty level head. I think I bring a good business brain to the table. I've been farming and both dairy farming, which was something I was never going to do to get ahead. Did that for 7 years and then managed to buy a big station here in Gisborne, and we farmed here for 17 years. So I've sold that now. I've been on the AMP show for 16 years or something and president of that, so I know how organisations run, community organisations run. I've been on Gisborne Holdings, running the Gisborne-owned assets, Telfer Farms, Holiday Park, that sort of thing. So I think I've got a pretty good grip of community and if I can bring that to the table, I think it could be very worthwhile.
If you're elected, what would be your number one priority?
My number one priority is looking at the culture within council. If we could change that and make it a positive place and sort of more of a how can we help you rather than what barriers can we put up to hinder you, I think this town can really go forward quickly.
Who are our at-risk groups in the community, and how can the council and yourself help those groups?
I suppose it depends on how you look at it. Of course, we all know our homeless people and people without jobs and what, but if you look around at the moment, we've got every industry you talk to are crying out for staff. So I did not see jobs as a barrier to anybody. Some people might look at them and say, oh, there's a low paid job, we don't want to go and do that. We're damn near getting as much on the dole for working for $22 an hour. But we need to change a culture to say, well, everybody that's been successful has started there. And if you work hard and you're on time and you communicate well, you will be noticed.
What do you think makes a productive council?
A productive council needs to be people there for the right reasons, not self-agendas. We're in a real crossroads at the moment, and like I said before, the reason I was standing because I was very, very worried that there wasn't any rural people. And look, I'm living 6 k's up Riverside Road. I'm not farming anymore, but that's my passion. Passion for farming and business and making this region grow. Good jobs don't just fall out of the sky, and we seem to be in an environment where business people, farmers, people that are working very, very hard are just being knocked. Unless we encourage them and make it easier for them to do business in New Zealand and especially in Gisborne, then we're not going to create good jobs. We are going to create low-paid jobs, commodity jobs, but there's a better way to do it, and we've got to encourage business to do that. And I know that may sound to some people elitist, but the way I look at it is if you don't help the people that are going to take the risks, then you are not going to end up with a good job for these people, and everyone wants a good job. And I think people have got to be there for what's best for the region, and I think there needs to be a really good conversation with whoever gets around the council table about what is council's core purpose. We seem to get dragged off what our core purpose is, and we're fighting a thing at the moment called Three Waters. Look, I'm sitting on the fence on that. I came here 20 years ago. I was horrified. Every time it rained, we were opening taps and pouring raw sewage into our rivers. 20 years later, we're still doing the same thing. You know, I do not agree with Three Waters in its format, but we've got to ask ourselves why it happened, and this is exactly one of the examples of why it's happened. I don't agree with that, and what I'm meaning by that is I think there is a better model where these things that need fixing in the regions and towns and cities could be identified, they could be funded then by central government, and the communities are given timelines that they have to make that happen.
If you get elected, what is the issue you'll make that's personal to you?
Personal to me? Land classification. There's only 3 areas that needs to be classified into. And yeah, like I've said before, productive food producing land, production forestry land that can be harvested in a sustainable way and not wreck the environment, and a piece of land that is just doesn't fit into any of those categories that needs to revert to its natural state, and that land can all become available for so-called carbon credits if we want to do that, and that's another thing I totally disagree with, but I don't think I need to get too much into that. That's you know, that's just covering up industry that can't clean up their act, so we'll come into New Zealand and we'll buy a forest and now we can keep doing what we're doing. How ridiculous. But yeah, look, classification of land, I think you know, people can say everyone's got the right to sell their land to whoever they can, and yes, they have. But if we don't try and lobby government for that to happen, we'll never get there.
What would you like the community to know, or what would you like to tell them?
Look, I'm doing it for a reason. You know, like I said, rural communities, businesses, that might not fit everybody's, you know, ultimate candidate. But I think if we can get that part of it right and help that side of the community to create an environment for better jobs, well, that's me.